Let's do Aquarius, because Aquarius, it is your season. And Venus moves into your sign this week. So woohoo for you. That means that in addition to rethinking all of your own output, all of the ways you take care of your physical body, because Aquarius rising, you have a stellium in your first house. That has to do with your body. It has to do with a lot of things, but your body is a big one of them. And also your demeanor, and also the way you're reaching out into the world, right? The way that you're connecting with the outside world. And it suggests that you're doing a lot to connect with the outside world. You're really doing a lot to show who you really are. Your authentic self is being put on display. And with Mercury retrograde in that part of the chart, you can expect to be reassessing the ways that you're doing that. The ways that you are putting yourself out there may need to be tweaked. Maybe it takes a little more effort to be understood now with Mercury retrograde in your sign. You know, it's also good to use that as a contemplative, an opportunity to be contemplative. Now, I do want to mention the square aspect Monday between Mars and the Sun. This is partnership, where you physically live, your career, and you and your identity. All of the fixed signs are more triggered on Monday because of this, because the fixed signs are having this square aspect, which is tense, which describes taking action, which requires decision making that is hard to make. And that impacts the key areas of your life: who you are, where you live, who you're partnered with, and what you do for a living. So Monday, Tuesday are kind of significant in that way because you're being called to take some action, and yet you don't have all the information, and yet there's some excitement there. You have Jupiter in your first house conjunct the Sun. This is exciting. There's opportunity to be had, right? There's something positive going on. And with Venus now moving into the same area, and Venus rules where you physically live and your perspective on the world, something is coming up for something exciting, something that feels positive, something that feels like an opportunity. And yet there are some things that have to be worked out before it can actually happen. So my advice to Aquarius rising is take your time. And this is true for everyone, but especially Aquarius rising. Please do not rush. Please do not hurry this week. Take your time. Know that, it's a good time to surrender. And I've been talking a lot about Tosha Silver, who is an astrologer and a yogi who wrote a book that I recommend to all my clients called It's Not Your Money. And it's not just about money. It's really about surrender. And it's such a good book for Mercury retrograde. It really is. There's so much wisdom there, and so much. She's a Capricorn. I think she has a Scorpio moon. She's very down to earth in the way that she writes. And Aquarius rising, I would recommend you take a look at this book. It's Not Your Money by Tosha Silver. It helps you create practices that get you through moments where you really can't figure out what to do. And there's a hard decision that has to be made. And maybe it has to be made in a Mercury retrograde even. And it helps you sort of surrender. Now I'm recommending her book, but I also want to pitch my own thing because I have good advice too. Aquarians definitely need to sign up for my free online course, How to Win at Mercury retrograde, if you haven't already, because Mercury's retrograde in your sign right now. You are on the spot, Aquarius, for making decisions, for reassessing your place in the world, for figuring out how to refine your messaging. So it is a good time for you to look at this course. It's really a lot of practical, useful information, and you'll get a free ebook if you sign up this week, because I'm creating that right now with horoscopes for all the Mercury retrogrades in 2021. I should mention this ebook is kind of a good handbook to have. In fact, I think I'm calling it a Mercury retrograde handbook. What else do I want to say about this for Aquarius? So, Venus moving into the first house connecting with Saturn, your ruler, on Saturday, which is Saturn's day. That's why they named it that. On Saturday of next week, something interesting is going on with your image, with a refinement of your image, with the way that people are noticing you, receiving you. And with Venus squaring Uranus in that fourth house, something exciting or changeable, some action has to be taken around where you physically live or a family member, fourth house. So this week for Aquarians, it's a little bit like there's some change brewing around where you physically live and how you are putting yourself out there. And yet you don't have all the information, so you don't want to sign a contract. However, something is going on Saturday that requires real sort of heavy thinking about these key things, where you live and how you're putting yourself out there, the kind of action you're taking. Interesting. So I'd be interested to hear from any Aquarius risings next Sunday. I want to know how that Saturday plays out, because it does look like there's some interesting things happening. It feels like a turning point. It feels like a turning point, not only for you, but for your spouse, for your child, for your family in general. A lot of stuff possibly shaping up in a good way there for you, Aquarius.